So, all right, all right. Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. How are we doing today?
Happy Sunday, guys. We're doing great.
Okay,
Doing
okay.
wonderful. How's everybody?
Doing well. We're doing well. Okay. Today's topic will be a debate on the concept of open relationship in marriages. We're going to explore the different sides and debate or determine whether or not having an open relationship or open marriage is a progressive evolution. Before we start, I'd like to introduce our guest who is back. Let's welcome Jay. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How's everybody doing?
Doing all right, doing all right. How are you back? How's the weather? How's coming in here?
Weather was not so good, but I'm feeling good now. So
I know it sucks. It
yeah,
sucks.
yeah,
Driving here, the traffic was not fun, but
yeah,
we're here.
yeah. We're here.
Awesome, awesome. Well, as always, we are happy to have you here. And we have our hosts, as usual, Dr. G and Pat. How are you doing, Dr. G?
Pretty good, Miss B. Thank you, thank you, thank you. How you guys doing?
Doing all right, doing all right. And Pat?
We're here, guys. As always, and we're here to have fun and have a great show together. So let's get it.
That's good. That's awesome. Well, I'm doing all right. I'm joking. I'm joking. You did ask. All right. Again, today's topic is really to understand the concept of open relationship and open marriages and determine whether or not if it's a progressive evolution. So we will debate this and, I'm just going to crush them. I'm just saying. So I'm ready. I'm ready. So to start, we'll start with our guest, as always. Jay, what do you think about this concept?
So with open relationships, so for me personally, it's not something that I usually would consider. I feel like I have, but at the same time, when I'm with somebody who I'm really in love with and I really enjoy being with them, it's not really something that is an option for me personally. It's just not something that I feel to be necessary. But for other people, I could absolutely see the benefits of why they would engage in it. I can see why maybe it would be important. And I think for some people, even especially, we're talking about it being a progressive evolution, I think it's inevitable for some people if they want to be in some sort of a relationship dynamic. I think it's something that they should consider.
Okay, interesting. Inevitable. All right, and we have Pat. What do you think, Pat? What is your opinion on this?
Open relationship. Me personally, this is not a option that I would actually prefer. But to each his own. I don't think this is something I can judge on people that who wants to do it. But if you have that in mind, I would say that, the level of trust and honesty and communication, have to be A1. Because in order for you to actually have your main partner and for her or for you as a man also to be okay that she can step out and have a sexual relationship with somebody else, you know, um, you'll have a lot of respect for me, for you to just be able to actually go to your bed and sleep without your significant other and knowing that she or he's out there, do what he do. I mean, kudos to you, man.
Maybe that's a rule you could have. At the end of the night, you need to come home. You could have it on the side, but
Yeah.
you're gonna come home and we sleep together in the bed. How's
Yeah.
that arrangement sound? You'll be okay with it?
Still not be okay with it, but my answer is, for you to do it, you definitely have to have like I said, a high level of trust and communication has to be A1. So yeah, that's what I got.
Interesting. All right, Dr. G, what do you have?
As for me, I'm not against open relationships. So even though I know it's expensive, experience, if you can't do it, so why not? I'm not against it at all. So some people choose not to do it. Some people choose to do it. That's them. If they can't afford it, why not?
Interesting. Expensive. How? What do you mean by expensive?
It takes a lot of courage, a lot of a lot of honesty, a lot of strength, a lot of responsibility to have an open relationship. As for me, because as a man, that's a lot of energy that you're wasting. I'm not gonna say wasting, but that's a lot of energy that you're using. So to have multiple women at the same time, vice versa.
Okay,
For the
so you're
woman
not
as well.
just talking about the finance piece of
No,
it.
no, no, no. Everything in general, energy,
The time.
finance, mental, physically, everything. Finance, yeah, basically everything. Yeah.
Interesting. But you're not against it. But if someone has the money, so if you had the money or like you had that, it was convenient to you, it would have been fine.
Of course, especially for men. For as for the woman, I don't know. Since I'm a man, I'm talking
Oh,
from a man
Jesus.
perspective. So for the men, yes, if you can afford it, have multiple women. I think that's it. That's very peaceful.
Okay, Jay, you said it was inevitable for some people. What do you mean?
Yeah, so my basic stance on relationships is for relationships to be able to work, two people have to come together and they have to express what their needs are, right? And both partners need to be able to be willing and able to fulfill those things. So I think it's wonderful when you have two people who are both willing, but I think what I want to focus on more so is people not being able to fulfill some of those needs. Because when you're in a relationship, you're expected to be there for somebody physically and emotionally. You're expected to sexually please the person who you're with. It takes a certain time commitment, commitment of resources, right? And it also takes sacrifice. You know, sometimes you are, you know, hopefully it's not too often, but you're usually expected to, you know, do some things that maybe your partner loves to do that you may not enjoy doing, and vice versa. And then as well, be around people who your partner likes to be around, or you know, maybe family, and vice versa as well too. So a lot of that could, you know, take a toll on people. And what I'm getting at is I don't believe that everybody is able to basically handle their end of the bargain. I think the concept of relationships really stresses a lot of people out, and I think it's for that reason exactly, because it's like most people are used to engaging with people who are similar to them, or people who they choose in their life, as well as they choose to do their own activities and things that they like. Sometimes bringing in another person, and you may really enjoy being around them, you might like them, but that part of having to be there for somebody, sometimes people don't have enough energy for themselves, but they're expected to also give energy to other people, you know? And there's points in time where, you know, some people have less energy, just because of their mind state. But generally speaking, some people are almost never in a place where they're able to constantly give that, but they know that's what people require, so they don't want to lose the person, so
They force
they
themselves.
force themselves to be in that relationship, and that's a constant area of stress for them.
Don't you think this is part of like being selfish? Because in a relationship, it's not one sided; it has to be two sided. So
Absolutely.
you have somebody has to take a L, or both of us have to
Yeah.
take a L. Because before the person, you have a regular life. Your life was used to be a certain way. Bringing somebody else into your life is just like you have to actually condense your life with the person lifestyle, and also both of you guys at some point maybe have to change your ways to actually live with each other.
Yeah.
So I think you have to have the willingness. Well, both partners have to have the willingness to actually make that work.
Right.
All right.
But
But go ahead.
I
Sorry.
was just gonna say, I just want to respond to that quickly. It could be selfishness, but what I'm talking about in this case is not exactly selfishness. Is okay, both parties are willing to, but just how many times have part of being an adult is many times doing things that you have to do that you don't want to do, and you do it
Right.
because, like for example, if you're not somebody who specifically enjoys the work that you do, you still have to work anyway because you have to eat
Yeah,
and
you
pay
have
for things
needs.
around you, right? So there's things that even though you want to do because you want to please that person or you want to be there for that person, that sometimes doesn't make it any easier for other people. And like I said, that's a huge area of stress when it comes to people. They know this is required of me, and that's what puts that pressure on them. But they're some people are not always able to, do that on a consistent basis, or even if they do, it doesn't put them in the best mind state.
So because they can't do that, they have to branch out and bring other
Somebody
parties
else
in to help manage or make
Or
help them
less pressure.
cope with this
Yeah.
pressure, or
yeah, or they choose to be the side person themselves. So
it interesting.
To help with that slack, somebody else could fulfill some of those needs for that person, so that I'm not expected to have to do X, Y, Z all the time for that person. I don't want to be everything that person needs me to be all the time. Maybe I'm that 70% of the time. Or if I choose to be the side person, which is another thing I was going to get into. I think there's a lot of benefits of being the side person outside of the obvious.
talk me to it, brother.
The obvious.
What's the benefit?
The obvious sexual things is most of the time, like when you're the side person, you're not expected to always be there for somebody physically and emotionally. You get the easier part of the job, and I think that's why a lot of men and women, they find themselves very comfortable with that, because it's like you're not getting the full benefits. If you want to
Right.
look at it as like a job sort of situation, business type situation. But it's like you're working part-time, but you're getting like 80, 70% pay. I think most people would take that deal. But it's not just because, like I said, that I think it's just something that everybody wants to do. I think some people choose that because they recognize it's easier, and they also recognize maybe I don't have the skills or the temperament required to be in a relationship. So this is the best I'm going to get. And like I said, it's not a bad deal. It's better than zero. But if I'm getting 70, 80% of what I want and putting in about 20, 30% of work, that's not bad. So I can see why people would do that. And I can see why people want to bring somebody in as well, too, so that some of that pressure is relieved on them. So I think that's one of the reasons.
I see. Well, I somewhat understand, and I kind of have the same idea too, but I don't think, and I kind of agree with siding with G here. When you adding people, or when you put in the work, I think whatever time you're spending there, you're not spending somewhere else, or you're spending it somewhere else, you're not spending it there. I think eventually you are still putting it 100%. It's just not in one place. So I think the energy is still being spread, but I think bottom line is, if you can't handle one, can you handle two or three? I guess that's my thing, because you still have to balance your career. You still got to balance your social life and stuff like that. So bringing in someone else, and I was watching the clip, and I think that's where my mind goes when you was talking about this. I think it's Zatima, that show. It was a clip about her husband. The husband came home, and she was telling the husband that she brought a side chick for him, because she felt like his sexual needs was like too high. She couldn't satisfy him.
Right.
Not as they weren't compatible at all. So because she couldn't just come to work and then wear to fulfill that part of it, so she had to bring in somebody in to help with that. I mean, the husband, honestly, the clip was very short, so I don't know what happened in the actual show. Yeah. But, he really thought it was a trick. Like, what are you doing? Yeah. You sure if I say yes, you won't get mad and something like that. So that's actually where my mind went as you explained, because sometimes we feel like, okay, I need to focus on this, but I can't, so I need to bring in somebody. And the thing I see there is like, okay, what happens when it's both end, and what happened when emotionally the husband start withdrawing, because now he's spending time, his needs are being satisfied elsewhere. So what happens, because feelings are tricky, right? So what happened when your own feelings betrays you? Where do we go? Do we blame that person, or do we blame ourselves for even thinking about it? So that's what I think about that. But personal opinion, I think these remixes of these marriages, I think it's cowardice, to be fair. I think it's really because of a fear of commitment. That fear, we create a way to find another way to make it, I guess, more open. And I think it's also the fear of losing out. So
fear of losing out.
Yes, so
that I agree.
It makes it less intense. You know, and I said cowardice because I feel like instead of managing our own desire and learning to, you know, overcome these challenges with one partner, we decide to take the easy way out by making it an open relationship. So that's just like, you know, how I feel about it.
It's like maybe a lot of time. Let's say some couples they are compatible on a lot of stuff, but maybe on a sexual aspect they're not compatible, and they're okay. Say like, listen, just because we can't satisfy each other sexually does not mean we should break up. And I'm guessing this is where the concept of open relationship. It's not like it's polygamy. It means like, dude, it's okay for you to go ahead and
Right. It's
bust
okay
it
for
out
us
there.
to go.
You know what I
It's
mean?
kind of, but then where do we draw the line with cheating?
Well,
Then
it's not cheating because you're aware of it. That's what I was saying. Like the whole communication is just like, hey, you know I'm doing this, but you're okay with it. So because I communicate that to you, and you're fine with it. So
I think cheating is usually synonymous with lying and deception. So it doesn't become cheating when it's like there's a
when it's
communication.
not
We
communicated,
both signed off on what's happening. And we're
so
both aware of what's going on.
so as long you're aware, I am messing with this person, or she's now my side person.
Aware and agreed.
Aware
to it.
and agreed
Yeah,
to it.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's actually a good point. Agreed to it because you consent.
yeah.
Now, the emotional piece of it, like where you start to feel something for that person, don't you think that's where the cheating would come to play?
Not necessarily, because I think to some degree that's inevitable. And I think in a lot of open relationships, I think it's acknowledged that I'm not just messing with this person. I actually enjoy spending time with this person as well too. But that doesn't mean that just because I enjoy spending time with this person, it doesn't take away from what we have. You have to understand that a lot of people who are okay with this sort of situation, sometimes the way they approach things and they see relationships are just different from people who have a monogamous point of view. And I think there's a lot of things that go into that. I think we've all seen situations where people are trying to be deceptive and trying to get one over on somebody. That's not necessarily what I'm speaking on right now. I'm thinking about more so monogamy is not for me, or there's a piece of my relationship that's missing, and maybe this is the missing piece. And if my partner will allow me to fill in what's missing, like it could be the sexual piece, like you said, that's very common. Everything in the relationship is going well except the sex. What do? Do I stop dealing with a good man or woman just because of that?
Yeah.
Some people think it's not worth it. So what they'll do is they'll try everything they can to make it work between them, but they come to the conclusion, like I said, that willing and able. They have found that we are both willing to do all the things, but we are just not able to pick up those things. And I think sometimes people need to stop lying to each other and say, oh, I can teach my partner all this stuff. Like, no, I've been in situations where it's like you cannot teach people certain things. They really want to learn, but they cannot learn. And I've heard stories from friends and other people I've conversations with, same sort of deal. But do I end this relationship just because of that? Like, we enjoy everything else about this person. I feel like this person may even be my soulmate outside of this one aspect.
But
so
like,
what do you do with that?
No, like sometimes I feel like if you don't want to end the relationship and you're trying to communicate with the partner and he or she is not agree with it, so like, nah, I don't want to do no open relationship, and everything else it's working. Like we are compatible in every aspect except, let's say, the sex, right?
Right.
And he's not okay for you to step out, or she's not okay for him to step out. So what do we do now? Like, take the L, or what do you
Well,
think?
that would be like a personal
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
'Cause,
Somebody
I mean,
has to take a L. Like, do
Can
you
you-
actually throw that out just because our sexual needs are not fulfilling?
Well, hopefully you have that relationship with your partner where you guys are comfortable sharing anything. And I know that's not the case for a lot of people. And so I personally believe if you're not getting your needs met in a relationship, that you're eventually going to need an outlet.
Yeah.
I think
Right.
that's human nature. And I'm not talking about once. I think some people have needs And it doesn't just have to be sex, but it could be sex, since that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
That if I'm not getting pleased in the way that I need to, or at least it's not hitting some sort of threshold, yeah, you will eventually look for an outlet. And unfortunately, I think that's where a lot of cheating comes from, because a person is aware, if I bring this up to my girlfriend or I bring this up to my boyfriend, that is going to cause a divide, and they're not going to want to talk about it. They're going to shut it down.
Yeah.
So there's no point in bringing it up. So they eventually end up cheating because they don't want to let the person go, because, like I said, they recognize that everything else about the relationship is
It's
up
good.
to par and what
You
they
don't
want
know
it
what
to
you're
be.
going to get next.
Yeah.
Interesting. But not communicating that with your partner, and don't you think it's unfair to that person?
Absolutely.
Okay. And G, what do you think about that? Do you think, and I think the original question was that whether or not you think once the emotional part, if I agree for you to go out and have someone on the side, but you start having feeling for that person, do you think that that's considered cheating?
I don't think so, because you agreed to it.
I agree for you to have sex with them,
Exactly.
because your sexual needs need to be met. But once you start having feelings, I don't agree to you having feeling. I just agreed for you to have a side.
So therefore, you should not only one, you should have multiple for me. So,
Okay.
So if you don't want me to catch feeling for one, so have me multiple of them.
So you could have
'Cause
multiple-
After a couple times,
them available.
Yeah, exactly. After a couple times hitting
Spread
the
the
same
feelings
thing,
out.
exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Spread it out. So as a man, we were wired to hit multiple things. Some of us
Right.
choose not to.
Yeah, which
But-
is not too, but that doesn't mean we're incapable of doing it.
Exactly. We have the capacity of doing
So-
it. As for the women, I don't know that, but as for men, we were wired to have multiple women. Some men choose not. The smart men, they know it's very expensive, so they choose not to do so. So, but as a man, so if you feel like you're not capable of me, like sexually speaking, the still level is too high for you. Find like a couple women for 'em. Like, hey, hit this today. The next one tomorrow, the next one the next day. So if you
Because
have only one,
in a way, like naturally, it kind of makes sense, because you would, although that we choose not, most men choose not to do it, because like you will see, like it will make more sense to see one man have like 10 girlfriend or 10 wives than one woman have 10
yeah,
husbands.
it doesn't exactly.
It's just like naturally, it doesn't really wire pretty. You know what I mean? So
I think for me, where it gets tricky is if you're married and you have kids, how do you explain that dilemma to
You do
to-
not
to your
explain that
kids?
dilemma until they're older. I
At
think
what age you think would be appropriate?
whatever you would consider to be an adult. So for me personally, this is like a post-college conversation, because I think even when you're in college, you're technically an adult, but I think you're still a child in a lot of different ways. So I think I would have this conversation with my children when they're, I guess you could say 2021. That's usually around the time when most people graduate. I think that's when you.
would you consider and see yourself in an open relationship?
I think the only times I've ever considered it is when I wasn't like deeply into the person who I was with. So for me, that's almost kind of an indicator that maybe I don't like this person as much as I think I do.
Yeah.
But that's just for me though. So,
Okay.
but
Would
the,
you?
but the concept of it sounds wonderful, but then it's how I am when I'm into one person.
He said, "Sound wonderful."
It does, but
It's not a bad deal at all, but
It's-
I'm gonna think about it.
it's not. But when I'm just really into one person, those kind of thoughts just. I tell my friends that all the time. My mind just kind of just shifts when I find that one person who I'm really into. So it's just like everything changes for me.
Interesting. Would you consider open relationships since you asked the question?
What,
Pat?
me? No. I mean, especially right now, there's no need for that. I'm good where I'm at, but like maybe in the future. I mean, maybe in the past. Yeah, I'm sorry, I was about to say in the future, not in the future. Maybe in the past. Maybe I could have considered that, but yeah.
Okay. And Dr. G, what do you think?
Man, the fact that I know it's expensive to do so I'm not gonna do it. I'm a smart man. I don't want to waste my use a lot of energy from different places.
Yeah.
But as a man, if a guy come to me and tell me that he wants to do it, I will understand, because I know where it's coming from.
Oh yeah, I will understand. I mean, I would not tell the guy like don't do it.
Yeah.
Like I'll be like, yo, is she okay with that? Shit, you a lucky
Go
man.
for it. Exactly. She okay with it right now?
Yeah.
Honestly, I wouldn't even accept that outright though. I would kind of want to know like more about it
What-
because I think like there's like the glorified idea of what that looks like, and then there's a reality of that. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
And you spoke on a little bit of what the reality of that is with the money aspect of it. And I'm glad you keep bringing that up because that's a real aspect of dealing with multiple women. So
Exactly.
most men, their mind gravitates towards the sex. But then you also spoke on, I got to manage multiple personalities. I got to make multiple people happy. I got to be there for multiple people. Now, I do think there are men who are definitely built for that. For sure.
They are
Right.
for
For
sure.
But just because you want that doesn't mean that it might be right for you or that you're built for that. Whether it's the money aspect, whether it's the ability to be there for somebody emotional and handle multiple problems,
Right.
those sort of things. So
And the scenario is like, yeah, somebody has to be an asshole, and it's gonna have to be you.
What do you mean?
Because
I know,
yeah, because like a lot of feelings is gonna get involved in that. Although that there's communication, like don't tell me like these females that on a man aspect, right? You want to open a relationship, somebody gonna want more.
What do you mean by wanting more?
Like one of these girlfriends will want more, and when you can't provide that, so they, there's gonna be a lot of like back
Well-
and forth and stuff, and that also it's energy that you're wasting.
Well, that's where the communication comes in. Having a clear, and then that's where I think Jay mentioned where like you have to both, all three, or all four, has to be in the know, and also agreed with what's happening here, because you have to set a clear rules of what you picture this to look like, and everyone has to be on the same page, because then once you start stepping outside of this line, then that's when the betrayal start, and that's honestly that's when I think the cheating will start too, but that's besides the point. So I guess if the lady that's not your primary, or the person that's not your wife, your girlfriend, I would say at that point, wants more than you could provide, and it's outside the agreement, you could bring it up to the table again and either review this again, or just saying like, what, this is not what we agreed on. I simply cannot agree with that. It's either we stick to the original agreement, or I dropped you. And at that point, you would either have to find someone else to bring in, or be in a party of three.
right.
But I want to address like the main concern, because nobody said like, what happened to the STDs? I mean, that's the main thing.
Condoms.
I mean,
No concern around there.
Isn't that like part of the whole communication and being responsible thing?
There you go, Jay.
So it's like,
Honesty.
obviously, it wouldn't be smart to say that you're not taking on extra risk regardless, because there has to be a lot of trust there. But if communication is right and everything, and you have an agreement with that other person, and like I said, the trust is there, and you're doing everything you're supposed to do, using condoms with the person, or doing your best to make sure that person is only with you, obviously you still run that risk. So it's an added risk, yes.
Right, because
But-
that partner you bringing in may also have other partners that they are with, because
Maybe.
technically they're not your wife,
Maybe, but
or
that's,
your husband.
But that's the kind of that's the kind of conversation you got to have with that person and everything. So there has to be a huge net of communication that is close to flawless, because there's a lot of moving parts working around with that situation. So I think that's another aspect to put into that situation, where it's like, if a man says that's what he wants to do, or if a woman says that's what they want to do, they have to understand how impeccable their communication has to be with the situation, because some missteps could really lead to some long-term awful consequences. So
Yeah, honestly, to be honest, I'll be so paranoid. I'll make you take STD tests like every month, maybe every day. Can I do that?
That could be a part of the agreement.
That's great.
So I have that question. So when I bought, some female says that it's okay as long as I don't know. I bought it. You feel me? Because the fact that they know men,
Really? I mean, it's
Yes.
not open relationship if they don't know.
I mean, they know that the guy is having having sex with somebody else, but they're okay
they
with
don't
it. They
wanna
just don't
know
want to
who.
know
They don't want
how
to know
did you do it,
who.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
So if you get STDs, you just won't know who you got it from.
the focus is not
Like,
STD,
you know,
Miss B.
I'm just saying. I mean, that was the section right there. That was literally the segment. I mean, come
Who would
on
like to
now.
have STD, Miss B?
I mean, what happened if that person's pregnant? You know, because I mean, this is a girlfriend. But interesting that someone would consider to be okay. I guess, like, you know, not knowing kind of, but that's denial though.
I don't think so.
Because if I don't want to know, like it's happening, I'm aware that, okay, I give him free permission to just sleep around. That's me not bringing myself into the, like, you know, like I'm not confronting it. Like I'm literally just putting it aside, you know, out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
That's literally denial. And honestly, that person is, I feel like it's harder to trust because you don't know when that little bum will just take off because they're literally in denial with it. And that's not open communication if you ask me.
I think that's very smart as a woman, because she don't want to know. Because as a woman, if she knows that naturally a man love diversity, so let me tell you that there's a lot of men out there. So they're cheating, but the wife don't know about it, right? Not only men, vice
Right.
versa. So there's even there's the study that shows that only 30% of people, only 30% of people survive infidelity. You feel me? So the fact that 70% people are cheating out there, so the partner just don't know.
So you think
if
that
think,
it will decrease the infidelity rate?
no, he won't, because if a woman says that I don't want to know, you can't do your thing, just be careful out there, don't bring me any disease, right? You say that would be denial, right? But I don't think so. That's
On the woman part, like
No,
that's
that's
denial.
smart.
That's literally saying out of mind, out of sight. I don't want to confront this situation, but I'm like, you know, I'm just putting on the side. I'm pushing it.
No, I think that she's smart because she knows most men. Some, as I told you, some men don't cheat because they know who they are and they respect themselves enough. But trust me, there's a lot of men out there though. If they get the chance, they will take it, because that's naturally in men. We're wired to be like that. So if you think, if a woman say that's denial, I don't. That's really smart. Just say that, okay, you know what? Do your thing. I know you're gonna do it anyway. So just be careful. Don't bring me any disease. Simple as that.
I think
Isn't that also a level of communication too?
Yeah,
Because
facts.
that's telling me you understand certain aspects about yourself.
There you go.
You can't handle seeing it. So what I'm hearing you say is keep it away from the relationship, whatever, which means be responsible, meaning don't be messing with any crazy woman that might make it real for me. I understand that this is something that you want to do, and I will accept it as long as you could deal with these terms. So I think that's up to the man to be responsible enough to say, okay, yeah, I'm going to be having safe sex, and I got to be vetting these women properly and making sure that, you know, I'm not doing anything that's going to bring harm to my current relationship. So I think that's just a different level of what we're talking about. Although I'm not sure if that's what the woman meant. I think some women would just don't want to know, period. So maybe that's what you're speaking on, and they would just rather like not have that conversation. But that's their stance on it, where it's just like, all right, well, if he's gonna cheat, because that sounds more like cheating. Like, okay, if he's gonna cheat, then
you rather
whatever.
open the door for them to
I
cheat.
I just don't want to know about it.
Let me ask you this then. What happened when the woman go like, okay, and then actually we're gonna wrap it up, and then for our second segment, because we're over 30 minutes. But what happened when the woman said, oh yeah, you could do it, you know, I don't want to know about it, and I want to do the same.
That's a no to me. That's for me.
So that's not so
'Cause-
smart
'cause
anymore.
That's not smart.
Okay.
Because as a woman, you know that's your value right there. So, I mean, a lot of us, we lying to
Okay.
ourselves, but we really know the truth. As a man, we didn't choose to be a man. I didn't choose to be a man. If I was a woman, I was gonna know that this is my value, not to mess with multiple people. As a man, I know we were wired to be like that. God created us like that. Some of us smart enough to control ourselves, not to do certain things. But it's not because we're not tempted. Sometimes we see a big booty out there, so we're like, okay, she can get it. Sometimes we will be able to control ourselves, not to do certain things, but not because we're not wired to be like that.
Can I challenge that a little bit?
Go ahead.
So not that I fully disagree with what you're saying, but do you feel as though there are things that can mess with. Well, you're talking about original wiring, how essentially we're born to be men and women, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that there are aspects of our life that can mess with that wiring? Like, for example, one, having multiple sexual partners, like larger numbers. If you're familiar with pair bonding, they talk about how the more sexual partners that you have, it affects your ability to basically psychologically connect and emotionally connect with your partner. That when you're in love, when you really care for somebody, your brain releases certain chemicals, right?
Yeah.
And they say the more sexual partners you have, it messes with your brain's ability to do that. So although I may not disagree with what you're saying, there are aspects of people's lives that I feel as though can change that, and therefore you have people who see relationships differently because of that, and they may choose to live their lifestyle to reflect that now, because now they're beyond. That's why I say earlier, where I think it's inevitable for some people, because I think because of how some people move, now it's extremely difficult for them to be with one person, you know, and because of that, they may need to change how they look at being in a relationship.
Interesting.
I mean, I think that goes for more for women, because as they say, I'm not. People are gonna call me sexist, but it is what it is. I don't choose to be a man. Some people don't choose to be a man. So I think what you're saying is more for women, because whenever a woman have sex with a guy, there's a hormone that she release. Us men, we don't release that hormones. We can't have anything. So we're not with no feelings at all.
But he was talking about when you're in love.
But I also was talking about women. So the original question was, should it be able to go both ways? So yeah, let's keep it on women. Let's say women have multiple sexual partners, and now that wiring that you were talking about is now different. They now see things differently. The way they view relationships is differently, and everything like that. Should women like that not be able to have that sort of relationship now because of how they see things?
No, would you agree that men and women are not the same, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yes.
There you go. So both of us are not wired the same way. So there's certain ways women are. We will never be like that.
Yeah, but that's
The
what
same way
he's
for us.
saying. He's saying that could the nature, like our nature, be changed based on our sexual experiences?
That's for
Like,
men or for both?
For women.
for
So
women.
he's saying like, okay, so women typically, like, you know, with one relationship, one marriage and stuff like that, they're wired to, you know,
Stay
to
with one
fill the
person,
night.
yeah.
Exactly. So once they start having that open relationship or pair bonding and all of that, they exposed to another world. Could that change their wiring? Like, you know, their nature, you know, the nature of what woman supposed to be.
Oh, now I got the question. As for the woman, that's what I'm saying. Like, as for the woman, I will never stay with women and they will open relationship. Us men, we can handle it. For the woman, if she has sex with multiple guys, she will never be the same.
No,
What do you mean?
I'm not saying the same, but I'm saying different enough to where they would want that sort of situation.
No, they were not going to be like that.
Nah,
G doesn't want a woman to be like that
you
at
know,
all.
our society will call that, you know, she's a whore, she's a thought. You know
I
what
mean,
I mean?
call it what you want, but all I'm trying to do is answer the question where it's like, what if it's both ways? So I hear you saying that you wouldn't want that. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think there are men out there that, similarly to a different degree though, I think men who have lower amount of sexual partners and have higher sexual partners, I think they view sex differently too.
Facts.
To the degree of where I won't say they won't mind the woman going out having sex with other men, but they would mind a lot less than a man who hasn't been with a lot of women. Or at least that's the direction I'm going in with this, where because of their view of sex being different, there's a chance of that. So I think that, to answer your question as well, if I were to be in that situation, I mean, I would have to accept. I feel like I would have to accept that it's going to go both ways.
I mean, if you
You would accept it to go both ways, because if
I asked for that, yeah, I think I would have to. I wouldn't say I would have to, but I think it would make sense for me to accept that, and that's part of the reason why.
why would you
also-
think it would make sense in a way? I mean,
yeah, because why would you agree for you to be in a relationship
because we're
outside and
different.
not okay to
I
be
agree
in?
with Dr.
That's-
G. We wire differently. I mean, you can call that sexist however you want, because when a woman is having sex with multiple men, her sexual and her desire to be stable is
All over the place.
pretty much corrupt. Because I don't think a woman, like a man who, listen, a man who have like multiple experience with with a lot of women are mostly the man who actually knows how to pick the correct woman, if that makes sense. Because the men who have less experience with women, they always end up like the same dudes because they don't know how to pick a good woman because they don't have enough experience. But a woman who have less experience with a guy, usually the peak number one for every guys who knows what is a legit and secure woman could be. You know what I mean? Not I'm saying all the women are not secure, but I'm just saying in a way. So as a guy, the more experience that you have with women, you kind of like more smarter to know how to actually take care and take care of your home, take care of a woman, and actually like emotionally bond with a woman in a way, because you've been there. Like you know how these things work. Versus if you don't know nothing about women, even that woman will probably not even want to be with you because she feel like she's gonna have to teach you shit.
Yeah, but I think there's a line though at the same time.
You know?
I think I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but I think maybe where there's a difference between that is I think there's a certain point in time where there's like they say there there's such a thing as too much of anything, even good things, right? Yeah. So I think even men who've been with I don't want to say a number, it could be whatever. I think it's different. I think it's different for everybody. But let's just say whatever man we're talking about, they hit a certain number of women that they've been with. I think certain things start to change with that man where it would make it a little bit more difficult to be with just one woman, especially if like that is like, I guess you could say the pattern of how their life is, where they're used to just being with so many women. How do you go from being with multiple women all the time like that? Like I said, when you get to a certain point, whatever that is, to just being with just one woman.
Because as a man, you get tired of it. You're like,
some
right.
don't.
You're like, yes, some don't. Obviously,
actually,
like,
many don't.
Many don't. But like, as a real, I would say as a real dude, you know when enough is enough. Like, you know what? It's time for me to pick the one. And then you will know the one.
Yeah, to add to what
you know what I mean. So like,
to add to what you just said, P. After a while, you as a man, when you have multiple women, you have more maturity in a section.
More maturity.
So you know which one is good, which one is
not
good.
So you know which one is good, which one is bad.
There's the time you guys like, it's time for me to settle down. So
Yeah.
Then when you realize that you're wasting your energy for multiple women, so you just. You know what? Let me settle down with one.
Sometimes like actually most men don't get to that stage. They don't get to that point. They might find a woman where they actually want that person to carry their child, in which sometimes women kind of make it hard for them to, okay, I don't want to have your child unless I marry you. So they will marry the woman, have the child, but in their mind they're not settling. They're not actually like sticking to one woman. They stick to that lifestyle.
I mean, there are those men. There's exceptions on every
there's
scenario.
Majority of men on that one.
So
Though.
like,
it's not the exception. That's the majority of men that never get to that point. You guys find a woman where you could find. Because, I mean, honestly, though, it is, I think it's both end where it's hard to find someone where you in love with. You could find someone you like, you admire, or you find that has good quality as fathers or as husband, whatever you're looking for, as mothers and stuff like that. And depends on where you are in life, and that those things don't come back, like don't come by as often. You will make the decision that is most suitable for you, and most men will go, okay, I want to have my kids and I want to have with that person. I choose to have my kid with that person, but not choose to spend the life with that person only, and they still live that lifestyle and have that many women or numerous women on the side.
Yeah, so like, I mean, as a parent, I mean, I'll parent, and also parents out there, like if you have a son, I definitely would want my son to have lots of experience before he actually pick whoever he wants to pick.
Period.
I want him to taste the water, brother. Taste the water. And as far as if God gonna bless me with a daughter, I'm gonna make sure and tell her the right thing to do to have not a lot of experience with men, because this gonna mess up her brain how to actually settle down.
That's facts.
You know, because as a woman, when you have so much experiences with men, it creates trauma. But for men, it doesn't really create trauma.
Yeah.
So from what I'm wearing, and before we go to commenting, to the comment and close that segment, is that you don't think that people could be reprogrammed. It's in our nature, and in the nature stay the same.
I mean, you can be reprogrammed, but there's certain thing that happens to you that create trauma.
No, I mean,
And-
like, keep it on sexual, like keep
Right.
it on women relationship and stuff like that. Not
So
the,
you
the
saying
drama.
like
I'm
a
saying
thought, like a woman who's a thought whatsoever can just be programmed not to be a thought?
no, not a thought. I'm
No.
saying a
I
woman.
get the question.
What's the
So
question?
I believe that that's so true. After a while, the routine gonna continue. If you're not smart enough, you're gonna think it's gonna be like that all the time. That's what I'm saying. Like, after a while, as you said. So, what was your question again?
Can the nature of men and women be changed or be reprogrammed? Can we be rewired?
We wired and what, like we program men and we program women.
You said it's in nature of men to be multiple women. To
Well,
be with
they're already
multiple
doing
women
that
and
right
stuff
now.
Like that. And
I mean,
can
look
the
at-
nature of women be changed?
Look around you, Miss B.
So it
It's,
can or cannot?
it's happening.
I mean,
Oh,
let me
that's-
answer.
Like,
your-
is it changing or is it not changing?
Took a
What are
long-
you saying?
It took a long road to get there, but
Right.
that's basically what I was saying. So I'm glad we agreed on
But
So it's
but-
happening.
But in a way, it's happening.
Like,
It's
it's
not happening
changing.
the good way, but it's happening. Men's
nature-
they were programming the men nature and the woman nature.
Okay, just making sure. Okay,
mean,
comment.
Let me add on to that.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
It's, as P said earlier, it's because they're sleeping with multiple men as a woman. That's why a lot of women nowadays in society, you see how they're going
That's what I
crazy,
said.
right?
They're going crazy.
Yeah, most people-
Okay, Rezi, love your point, Drake. Good point, Jay. In my opinion, open relationship better than cheating. So you guys think that open relationship does it creates it lessens the cheating,
I
the
think it's a tool
the
in
rate of cheating.
toolbox. I think it's something that shouldn't be a first option, at least in my opinion. But to ignore it as something that can't be beneficial to your relationship, I think would be bad for a lot of people to just like push it aside and not even consider it. I think you should at least, you know, after you exercise certain other options, think about, okay, maybe we should try this.
Okay.
let me ask Jay a question. Jay, do you,
What's
you
up?
know that open relationships never mutual, right? Whomever call it is because they want to explore more options. Is that true?
Yeah, usually.
So therefore, the fact that you said that you have to communicate in a sense, so it's never mutual. Whomever call it is because they want to cheat, or it's because they want to have more.
It could be.
partners.
It could be, yeah.
Yeah.
But not all the time.
It's not always. It's really not always
Give
because
me another reason why somebody can call it.
to open a relationship.
I started with it. It's like, my relationship isn't fulfilling me in the way that I want it to. It could be about sex, it could be about other things. But I want to be with you. But I feel like you're incapable of meeting what my needs are, or you're not as present as I need you to be. So I want to explore being with other people because of that. That could be one reason. Another reason could just be my views on relationships are just different. I'm not the kind of person who sees myself with just one person. And that could be, I didn't get to bring this up, but that could be because I think for most people, their first example of what a relationship should or shouldn't look like is from their parents. So I think people look at their parents' relationship and say, oh, this is great, I want to be like this, or this is awful, I want something completely different. And it shapes their views on relationships. So I think for some people, they can even have a good example, but they can view people of this generation as like, oh, I want a relationship with, like my parents had, but I don't think anybody of this generation can give me that because they don't have the qualities of either a man or a woman that I see that could give me the type of relationship my parents have. So if they see that, they might say, okay, I don't want to be in a monogamous relationship because if it can't be like this, I might as well explore my options. So I think there's a lot of different reasons to that. I think how you view relationships is one of them. I think your sexual experience is another one. And I think your partner's inability to meet your needs could also be another reason too.
But
and sometimes you physically impaired. You just
But if you like that person, right? And then most of the time, females can handle the truth. People gonna call
Can't?
it sex. Cannot handle
Okay.
the truth. So if you love that woman enough, so you know that not a lot of women gonna accept that from you. Say, I wanna have an open relationship. They're gonna say, you know what? Let's call it quits. So I don't
Yeah.
wanna be in a relationship.
Right. No, I agree
So,
with that.
exactly. If you love that person and then you don't wanna lose that person, so you're gonna call it open relationship. Don't you think that's kind of like?
So I agree with that's my stance too. I think many women have a very difficult time handling the truth, and we spoke about this a little bit last time, where it's that men will hold back many times because they know. So that's why a lot of men lie, is because they have seen through examples,
Yep.
usually smaller examples, that their woman cannot accept what they have to say. So once they recognize that, I think that's when cheating becomes an option for a lot of men.
Yeah.
So I think many men will avoid this conversation entirely and choose to cheat because they don't even want to present it, because presenting this is the exact same thing as basically ending the relationship for
Facts.
a lot of women. So I agree with that. But for me personally, because we started this a little bit off camera talking about bad dating experiences and stuff like that, and I said, like, I haven't had a lot of bad dating experiences because when I do choose to date, I don't date often. When I choose to date, I really get to see about that person. And one of the things that I really like to see is those very few women who actually can handle and want to hear the truth. Because many women say they want to hear it, but the reality of that is very different. So I test it out. I try to see. And when I find someone who I feel like I can trust and really be open with, that's usually somebody who I tend to gravitate towards more. So to answer your question, I feel like I would probably end up with that kind of woman anyway. So if that's something I wanted, I feel like I'd be comfortable bringing it up to her. Now, would I be nervous? Yeah, because we've all had those experiences with women. It's in the back of our head. What if she can't take, even if she's shown the ability to do that? This is still a tough conversation.
Okay.
But if I built that trust, I feel like if this is something I wanted to do, I would definitely bring it up.
Okay. So if you guys, like you said, women you've dealt with, or that you know that men, okay, sometimes can't handle the truth, and then it pushes men to cheat. Then if the woman find out that you're cheating, and then in the relationship, do you think that it's an acceptable consequence or approach?
What's an acceptable?
Find out that the man is cheating,
Okay.
and then decided to end the relationship.
Oh, yeah. I mean, because at the end of the day, cheating is still cheating. I can understand why somebody did something. Doesn't mean I agree with the behavior.
Okay.
So, but I think it's important to understand that as a person. Why do I choose to move this way?
Do you believe that a man cheat and a woman cheat is the same cheat?
No. Well, and from the standpoint of, do they cheat for the same reasons?
No, I'm
or do you
saying,
think
like,
it affects us the same way?
Yeah, both. Yeah.
I think there's some overlap, but I think generally men and women cheat for different reasons.
Right.
That's one. And two, I think cheating hurts everybody, but I think it affects men and women differently as well, too, because of how other men and other women will look at a man being cheated on, as opposed to how other men and other women will look at a woman being cheated on. I think most men will hear a woman being cheated on and they'll want to jump to their rescue and be like, oh, I want to be that better person for you and stuff like that. Women will be like, oh, it was 100% the man's fault, But for a man being cheated on, your friends might not say to you, but they're like, couldn't be me.
Yeah.
And then other women are looking at you like, they cheated on you? So I think just that interaction alone is different. But yeah.
It's also too what you've used to and what you considered as norms, because I've seen a lot of time where women would talk about like their men cheating, and then they said, well, and then everybody had that saying that everyone cheat. And if that becomes their mom, that's your mentality, that's your mindset. I think when that happens too, it's just like it's a whatever mode kind of thing. So it will affect you somewhat different as well. But to go back to the comment, no, because you agree to it, sex comes with feelings. So I think that relates to the part where does feelings considered cheating? I don't think if you agree for someone to have sex with somebody, you agree to with feelings, but I guess that comes with communications and what you want exactly to have a clear communication with somebody?
Well, I think it runs the risk. I think it's understood that if I have sex with this person, I might feel something. So
The possibility.
Yeah. So I think if women going into this situation, I think they have to consider that as a risk. You know, you
Okay.
brought up STDs as a different kind of risk.
Yeah.
I think your man falling for somebody else could be a risk as well too.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's where communication comes in. What you want and what you don't want, and what you need to do. It's like friends with benefits. Somewhat friends with benefits. Sometimes it's usually when you're single. But if you're in a relationship, you're not married, and you wanna have friends, don't they call it side chick instead of friends with benefits? Oh, that means it's still just friends with benefits. Am I getting my understanding wrong of them? It's too many, to be honest.
I mean, I think it would be more like a side chick, side dude situation.
Kind of things. And then friends with benefit would be like we both single and
Yeah.
we want to just take this ride until we find our partners or whatnot. Makes sense. But it's still somewhat cousins
Yeah.
along the same line.
Sure.
Gee, God didn't create you to be like that. Yeah, God didn't create you guys to be a cheater. I mean, seriously. That's not in your nature. That's what you choose. It's a choice, but it's okay.
But I
I
think-
didn't say cheat, Miss B. I said God created us to be to have diversities. So
Right.
some smart men choose not to. It's not because they're not tempted to, or it's not because they want to do it. They choose not to.
You don't
Because
think
it's smart
women
enough.
just have just as many opportunities? You don't think we
I-
look like a man, like, know?
Listen, Miss B.
Like,
It's
that's
not
not-
It's not the same, Miss B.
It's
Oh, wow.
not the
Miss,
same.
Okay.
let me tell you something.
I don't
When
think it's about the opportunities, though. I don't think that's what he's speaking on. I think he's speaking on a man's nature.
Yeah.
So obviously, women have a lot of opportunities, probably
There you
way
go.
more than
way
men.
more than us.
You have more
Yeah.
opportunity
Not
than
even
us.
probably.
But yet
way more.
we withheld more, right?
Because you
Isn't
know
that-
that's your value. If you let
Yeah.
go, so it's,
So that's not
Thank
your
you.
value as a
Thank you,
man.
brother.
no,
No,
our
that's
value, we
not-
have to create our values.
Point
But you were
taking.
born with your value, Miss B.
Okay.
That's
so
why
you
men
guys,
chase you. That's why men
That's
chase
fine.
you. Women, most of the time, we have to chase them.
I got it.
Because like we have to conquer you. You don't conquer men.
I see.
That's pretty much it.
Michelle Orma says, "Wow, Jay, hey, you're getting some fan, Jay. She's applauding you. You brought up some great points. That
Thank
is
you.
true.
Thank you.
I can agree. I think it goes both ways. So I think it was talking about like when you're doing an open relationship, if it should go both ways or if should the man be the one who's exploring and the woman staying faithful. I think she's saying I think it goes both ways. Oof, this is good. She's enjoying it. At least that's good. At least we have some viewers that are enjoying this. Before we go to our second segment, I wanted to kind of break it off to kind of like before we close it. And I wanted to ask you guys, what do you guys think about the significance of opening a car door? I mean, it's happening less and less. What is the significance of opening a car door for a woman when you go on a date? We'll start with our guest, Jay.
I think the significance of it is just being attentive. I think it adds up to a lot of other gestures that you can do that would have a woman look at you in a certain light. Like, he has my back. He's there for me. He thinks about me often before he moves. He's intentional, those sort of things. So although I think by itself it could just be a gesture, but I think when added with a lot of other behaviors that are consistent with that, I think it'll bring you to a different level as a man of how a woman sees you.
Okay, so it means more outside of the romantic gesture.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I think like doing that, opening doors, helping them down on the curve when they're wearing heels, like little stuff like that adds up. I think by itself it might just be seen as okay, either you do it or you don't. But I think when you tend to add that with, like I said, a lot of other consistent behaviors, like oh he pays attention, he cares about me, he's looking after me, like I can rely on him, he's protecting me, those sort of things. I think it.
I mean, I agree with
do
what
you
you
think?
said, but I don't think just opening up car doors is just gonna define all that.
Not
you
by
know?
itself, no. But like
Yeah.
I said, when you add it to other things, I think.
Yeah, when you add it to other things.
But
you know.
what do you think is the significance to you, Pat?
Like opening a car door.
Yeah. Do you think it holds a great significance, or is just like it's whatever? It doesn't hold.
I
it
mean,
doesn't-
listen, I'm foreign. I'm not from here. So when I came here, it was mostly the thing for men. Like where I'm from, like you have to be overly polite. You have to actually go,
Well, so what do you believe?
So based on what I see here, it's not really overly rated. Like
you
if you do
personally.
me personally, if I feel like doing it, I do it. But it's not something that I'm like, oh, I have to, because there's other ingredients, like all the things that you're saying can be part of who I am, but just because I chose not to open a car door all the time does not mean I'm not a great man.
So it doesn't
or
hold
other-
as much significance. It doesn't.
Yeah, it's not
a-
it's not like a mandatory for me. Like if I do it, I do it. If I feel like it, I do it. If I don't feel like it, I don't do it. But I don't think this should actually kill you as a man.
I mean, they're not killing you. I'm just trying to understand, like, because it's happening less and less, and people, I think the value
Because
or
women
the,
out here
the
don't
meaning
care.
of it. I
A
think
lot
the
of them
meaning
don't
of
care.
it
It's
is
like-
being lost in translation. So
It's
that's
like-
why I'm asking this.
It's like the way I see it. It's just like a lot of women out here would wanna appreciate, would wanna treat it like that, but it's in a way, it's just like when you see their behavior, their attitude, and you're like, do you really deserve that?
Interesting. Okay, so it's about deserving.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
What
mean-
about you, Dr. G? What do you think?
As for me, I think it's always polite to do the good things, like open doors, stuff like that. But some female don't deserve it.
Do you think
They
it
don't
holds?
even give you a chance to do so. So
Yeah, they don't even give you the chance. I remember on my dating world, I opened a door for a woman. Oh, you think I can open my own car door? Like, bro,
Okay,
being
interesting.
seriously? Like, you
I
really
know
have
what
to
you-
say that to you? Like, you just killed me right there.
Just see what we're saying. Though.
Oh,
You think I can open my own car door? Okay.
But what do you think it means to open a car door for somebody? Like, you know, you going on a date
I
with
think
somebody.
it's beautiful. I think it's beautiful to
Outside,
do
it's a
that.
nice gesture. What do you
Yeah.
think the meaning of it means? Like, what's the point of doing it? Outside of, okay, it's a romantic thing to do. It's nice to do. Outside of that,
It's just it says.
I'm good. I mean, good.
I mean, looking at it, it says a lot about a main character and how he's really, showing respect and appreciation to his woman.
okay. Do you
Right.
think it's like a safety thing? That's where I'm going with this. By the way.
Safety, just open a car door. It could be. It could be, but like there's other things that could be, actually contribute in safetiness.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be just opening a car door.
It absolutely means, the little efforts count. It does adds up, and it does create a warm feeling in the woman's heart. But where I'm going with this is the safety part of this, because sometimes I feel like it's when you opening a car door, you're not just going to open. You're looking at your surroundings, just like for your kids. Do you guys do that for your kids?
But
right?
but
when you
Miss
go out
B,
with your kids,
sometimes they don't give you the chance to do it.
I understand that.
Even
I'm
open
not going there.
even
I
open up
understand
the
that.
door. Like let's say, let me open the door for you. They're
Right.
already right in front of you to open the door for
I can't
you.
speak for the woman you've dealt with, but
Well,
I'm talking
it's
about
not
the
just the woman.
significance
It's not
of
just the
opening
woman
a car
I
door.
dealt with. I'm saying like things that I've seen.
Okay.
And then,
Okay,
and
but-
another thing is, you compare a woman with our child.
No,
They're not-
no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like safety. When you go out with your child, right? You don't open the car door. You don't look around your surrounding before. You don't check anything, or you just open the car door and just be mindless about
you just did
everything.
it again, Miss B. You compare my child with a woman. The child don't know anything. You have to. That's your job to protect your child. Let's say I
So
don't
it's
know.
not your job to protect the woman.
Your woman, yes, but not every woman. Some of them, as I said, some of them they don't give you a chance to do so. So what you gonna do? It's always
They don't
nice to
give you
open
a
the
chance,
door.
Miss
It's
B.
always nice to do nice thing to a woman if she allow you to do it. Some women don't allow you to do so. So what you gonna do? But a child, that's your job. They cannot say no. You have to do it. As a parent, you say, okay, get in the car. I open the door for you. You have to get in. As a woman, if you tell them get in the car, they're gonna call you controlling. They're gonna say, I do whatever I want. So
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
you're
my
not
father-
telling them to get in
So,
the car,
no,
though.
The fact that you're comparing child with a woman, I'm just giving you
I'm
an
s- I'm
example.
I'm
Yeah.
making the difference of when you are opening the car door for your kids. The point from when you get out of the car, what you do before you to the point that you actually open the car door for that person, whether it's your child, whether it's your mom, whether it's your woman, whoever it is. And I would hope that whoever's in your car, you at least have the respect or the decency to actually treat them right. But it's okay if they don't deserve it. You don't think they deserve it.
Miss B,
You wanna
listen,
act accordingly. That's absolutely fine too. But the point that I was getting is that I think the meeting lost, because they always looked at it as a romantic gesture. What I'm saying is not always that. It's absolutely shows effort and is very nice. It gives you that warm feeling. It is romantic. But I wanted to add to the people to, I guess, show awareness that it's not just to just be nice. So that's the point of making that little quick, detour. But back to topic.
Let me say
You want to
something.
say something? You want to say something?
Since
Go
the
ahead.
beginning, I told you always good to be nice to people. Doesn't matter if you know them, if you don't know them, especially a woman, somebody you're going out with. So that's your job to protect them.
Yeah.
But as P said and as I said, so some women don't allow you to do so. The moment you're about to open the door, they're already in the car.
Okay.
So what
So
you want me to
women,
do? Keep the
be
door open
patient.
for them?
Walk slower or something. And I'm not gonna lie to
A
you.
lot of women want to operate as men. Like, I can
Do
do it
you-
by myself too.
Let
But
me ask you
go
this
ahead.
though. So here's the thing about a woman, and I'm gonna show you guys. So if I'm going on a date, right, and the man said he's outside, I'm outside. He's sitting in his car. What am I supposed to do? Just wait?
Yes.
Just assuming that he's gonna come out of his car to open the car door for me?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you think that it would be better if the man was already outside the car waiting for you?
Miss B, let's say you don't stay in the safe
What do you
neighborhood.
think, Jay?
Let's say you live in.
Let's say you don't-
you're not living in the safe neighborhood. You want me to stay out there?
So you're not living in
You
a
know, it's
safe
just-
neighborhood. The
come on,
guy
Miss
just
B.
come, and then you want him to just be outside of his car, and then dudes will just look at him like,
Interesting point.
"What this guy is doing here?
What you said, Jay?
So that's an interesting point.
What is my guys doing here outside of the car waiting
Interesting.
for who?"
Interesting.
You know?
Interesting.
It ain't-
Okay. It's good
Kid
to see
can
what
get
What
robbed.
do you think, Jay?
I
guess
that's a funny point. That's an
You would have to
interesting
make sure
one.
that
But-
you're in a safe neighborhood.
But I will say I see what you're saying. Where it would make more sense to be proactive. I think is what you're trying to say, right?
Yeah, because then the woman wouldn't beat you to the car door because you're
Yeah.
already there.
Yeah, but yes, I agree with you, but it's also different from what they're saying because, at least to address what they're saying, the kind of woman they're talking about, it wouldn't matter if you did that because they would still kind of react that way anyway.
Interesting. So that's the kind of woman that you guys like to date.
But I think it's important to.
What you trying to say, Miss B?
I think
I like how you
if you're gonna answer the question, it's important to also recognize the type of woman that you would do that for, and like the feelings surrounding that situation. Like, would you do it for them? And what would be the significance of doing it for a deserving woman? Since we've already covered the other one, like, what do y'all think about it?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
A deserving woman. I think all women deserve to be loved and deserve the niceness.
All women?
Yeah, but would they allow you to actually treat them as is, like treat them as the queen that they are? Sometimes, the way society shifted, it's just like the society is pretty much telling women, don't embrace your femininity. Like, whatever man can do, you can do it too. Like, screw a dude that thinks he can actually treat you as is, because when you overly treating the woman like this, a lot of them feels herself like, oh, now you kind of like more in this masculinity, and I don't like that. I feel control, like you said. It's just all of these things,
Interesting. I've never heard, by the way, and I'm only hearing it from men.
Yeah.
I've never heard a woman complain about a man being nice, as such as opening the car door for them. But it's interesting to hear that's how you guys feel, or that's what's expressed to you guys. Like, a woman would literally say that to you.
Yeah, some women would say it.
Obviously,
Interesting.
Miss B. You said
No, I'm
not
just
saying
I'm
all
just
women.
curious. I'm just curious, like, because I don't. I don't
So
hear
Miss
it.
B,
So
let
it's
me ask you this.
interesting for
So
me to
all the
hear
men,
that a
all the
woman-
men that you dated, they'll open car doors for you?
Not always, and that's where my funny story comes in. Like,
Yeah.
I had this guy who who picked me up from a date, and then he asked me, well, he told me he's outside. So I walked outside, and there was a car there, and I kind of just walked in, and it was the wrong car because he was not outside. He was around the corner of my place. And it was that. But to the point, though, I did make a decision out of that. If a man come to pick me up, and after that incident, by the way, that was after that incident. If a man come to pick me up and it's the first time I'm meeting you in the car, or if you bought a new car and then you are not outside of your car, I'm going back in.
I mean, I agree with you on that. Like, if you gonna pick her up like on a date or whatsoever, I think it would be appropriate to do so.
Okay.
Like, to just get out the car and open the
I'm
car
not going
door
back
for her.
on another.
Yeah, I think it's
car.
appropriate, but like, but in an aspect as of like, you already get used to the person, this and the third, like, we just like our life is condensed together and stuff like that. So you still would want him to just like, oh my God, I'm gonna hurry to go to work. Like, babe, come open the door for me. Like, is that what we're talking about?
Let me emphasize what you just said, P. Vice versa. Some women not used to it. As a man, when they get in the car, so it's your job to merge them to that. Listen, next time I'm coming to pick you up, it's not the fault though. They're not raised to be like that. Vice versa. Some men don't know how to open the door. Some female don't allow the guy to open the door.
Thank you.
It's your as in communication. So we're gonna talk about it. Listen, next time I come pick you up, can you allow me to open the door for you? Which is normal. It's okay.
I mean, some of
The
you
way
guys
said
stay
that,
in
like,
your
some of-
car on your phone, and sometimes your car is locked. Do you guys know that? I mean, seriously, do you guys know that? And honestly, I have never run away from a date so fast. You know,
They stay on the phone on
the car?
Yeah.
No, well, actually, no. I have been on dates where men would be on their car, like, you know, on their phone. And honestly, to be honest, if this is the first date, honestly, there's not gonna be a second date.
That's when communication comes into the way. So you talk to that guy. If you like him enough, talk to him. Maybe he's not used to it, the way he grew up. So maybe he's never seen somebody open the door for his
This was
mom.
supposed to be a quick segment. This is
Yeah,
fun,
make
though.
sure you
This is
tell him,
fun.
listen, I like my car door to be open
That's as
when I'm
simple as that.
coming.
If he doesn't do it again, now you have to make your decision. But as I said, vice versa. Some people are not used to it. Don't judge them because they don't do it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And also, as a
So
man,
they weren't raised to be, you know, attentive,
Right.
to be,
The same
you
thing-
know,
vice versa. The same thing for the woman.
supportive.
Same thing for the woman, Miss B. Some women don't allow the guy to open the door.
so now you
Next time you
communicate
pull
that to
up,
her.
they
So
open the
listen,
door and then they don't even give you a chance to wait a little bit.
Yeah.
And next time,
But like I said, if
Then
you're
run to your
outside the
door.
car waiting for her, she won't beat you to the car.
Miss B,
And that's my point
next
on
time,
that.
live in a better neighborhood. So if a guy, if your neighborhood is not safe, so you want the guy to stay outside while he's looking right. Come on, Miss B.
Yo,
I don't even know about the neighborhood thing, because if I'm really be honest, okay, I come to pick up somebody. Okay, I'm in the car, I'm waiting, and I see them coming. I just stay in my car because I think it's an unsafe neighborhood, but it's okay for her to walk from her door to my car.
How do you know he saw you coming?
Okay, I know it's a funny thing they brought
Because
up,
you should
but
be,
since
you
we're
know,
talking
looking
about
at the window. You can't be on it. So unless you were on your phone and not paying attention, right? Because shouldn't you see her coming if you were waiting for her and no?
That's 100% a thing. I do still think, I don't think a dude should be waiting outside, but I think he should be like watching to see when you come outside and
Then
like,
come out
and
of
then
his
come
car.
outside.
Thank you.
But the thing you said about the unsafe neighborhood, there are neighborhoods that are safe for you because you live there. But
Right.
because I'm coming in, they don't know me. Like I think most dudes have at least one story where they dated a woman who lived in like an apartment building who got like the dude
In the
standing
projects?
outside in the front and
Yeah.
everything like that. You're just like,
Oh my God, you guys. Okay, all right.
let me just get
We're
through.
having too much fun with this. But seriously, the last part, because honestly, I feel like I should have finished that other topic before I introduced this, because I feel like this is kind of, honestly. Okay, so to go back to the topic and to finalize everything, do you guys believe the open relationship and the open marriage segment or remix of marriages, do you guys believe it's progressive evolution? We'll start with our guest, as always.
Well, when you say progressive evolution, it sounds like to me you're saying like that's like the natural next step. that people
Is it
should
for
take.
the better? Are we going backward or are we going forward?
In some regards backwards, But I think though that you kind of gotta deal with the cards that you're dealt.
Okay.
Um, and a lot of the stuff I was talking about throughout the earlier segment was just that I just think that people's views are just changing and a lot different, or we're in an environment now where people who always had those sort of views, it's a lot more comfortable for them to share those things and express those things and have it be accepted as well too. So I think because of that, I think for some people it makes a lot of sense. Um, but is it is it like progressive evolution? I wouldn't necessarily say that, but like I said, I think it's inevitable for a lot of people, just based on some people's relationship views. Generally speaking, are pretty set based on the things that they've seen. They see things, they say, "I don't want that for me." A lot of people are very pessimistic when it comes to pessimistic when it comes to relationships. They don't see themselves with one person for a long period of time. Just like back in the day, you could get a job and you was there for 30 years, and that was like the norm. I think being in a relationship long term was a lot more normal and a lot more seen, and you don't see that as much. Divorce rates are well over 50%, or it's still kind of close, but I think it's over that. And and most people, they don't see a lot of happy, long-standing relationships in their own life, so it doesn't really give them a lot of hope. So there's that, and like I said, people, they don't have the ability to commit to one person for one reason or another, or show up for one person in the way that that person needs them to.
Okay.
Excuse me. So I think for those people, it makes a lot of sense to be in open relationships. I think everybody deserves a chance to be in a relationship that reflects their values and the things that they enjoy, that will make them feel fulfilled. So, but evolution, I don't know about that.
Okay. And what do you think, Dr. G?
As for me, I think I'm a close like the way I started it. So I think it's very expensive, but if they can afford it, why not? So I think it's a new phenomenon. So people doing it regardless. A lot of people are cheating anyway, so they might as well open it.
Interesting.
So
Interesting.
a lot of them cheating, so they might as well open it. I know it's open relationship never mutual. It's never fair, like to cheat on somebody. So if you're cheating on somebody, you might as well open it.
Okay.
That's my conclusion.
All right. Pat, what do you think?
I think it's on the individual perspective and view. It depends on the value that you carry on, and your value and your needs. If your perspective is to actually be on open relationship, obviously, like I said before, your communication has to be A1, and honesty. Honesty and integrity. For me, it works together. So you definitely have to carry these two, and communicate with your partner. And then if it's the way for you to do it, to feel more connected with your partner, or you feel like this is what's gonna save you guys' relationship, by all means, knock yourself out.
Okay.
But on my personal view, I don't think this is something that I see myself doing. Just because, like G said, it takes times and energy and money and all that things. Settle with one woman. It's I think it's the easy way out. Yep.
I do agree. And communication is key with this
Yep.
particular part. Yes, absolutely. Yes, it is the easy way out. To me, I just wonder, marriage is supposed to be sacred. It's supposed to be with open relationship. Honestly, it makes you wonder, then what's the point of getting married if it's going to be open? Like, what's so nice about it? What am I going to be craving? Like, what's the excitement there? It's supposed to show, like, to me, personally, I looked at marriage as, like, two people, taking that sacred, a vow to take a journey together. No matter what obstacles come in their life, they're supposed to back each other up. That was what's different than us outside the world who are single, who just in a relationship getting to there. But if it become open, the only thing we do, what are we doing?
Yeah.
You know, what's the point? So I don't know. These remixes are definitely not an evolution. So that's my win on that. And I want to say thank you everyone for watching, and thank you to our special guest for being fruitful with his thoughts.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you, and happy Sunday, everyone. Any last words before we close out? That was the last word.
No, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next Sunday, and subscribe. And if you know any families that haven't watched the show, make sure you share it. And yeah, see you guys later.
Yes, please follow us on Instagram. We're on YouTube. We're pretty much everywhere. So yeah, and if you would like to be a guest, don't forget to hit us up, and we would. If you don't have to be in New Jersey, we could actually just stream you in, and that's fine too. So let us know if you'd like to be a guest, and I'll see you next Sunday.
Jay, your last word?
Nah, I think we about covered it. Yeah, I guess. I mean, you probably already put it up, but my IG handle is @paper_parch. If
Yes.
anybody was interested.
Yes, we did
Of
put it
course.
on the flyer. Yes, @paper_.
Parch,
Parch.
Parch.
Perfect. Thank you guys, and that was our guest. And have a great night and happy Sunday.